Germany, 1923. Picture a country where money has become so worthless that people feed it to their stoves because firewood is more expensive. A loaf of bread? 200 billion marks. Hyperinflation hasn't just wrecked the currency, it has obliterated it. And then, as if fate hadn't yet done enough damage, 1929 arrives. The Great Depression crashes over the world, and in Germany banks fail one after another. Factories shutter. By 1933, unemployment reaches 6 million, nearly a third of the entire workforce. Families scavenge for food, children faint from hunger, and the streets themselves seem to whisper despair. Dear friends, if this video has reached you, it's not by chance. Right now, click the subscribe button and the notification bell. Write a number from 1 to 5 in the comments. I will personally respond to the first 50 comments, and make sure to watch the video until the end. This is the Germany Adolf Hitler steps into when he assumes power in January 1933, a nation that has been economically annihilated twice. Yet somehow, by 1939, a mere 6 years later, the landscape is unrecognizable. Germany marches into Poland with 3 million soldiers, 3,000 tanks, and 4,000 aircraft, fielding Europe's most advanced war machine. How did a bankrupt state construct, in record time, the most formidable military on the planet? The truth lies in a phantom company, a financial mastermind, and a scheme so vast it operated like a national Ponzi structure. It revolves around the MEFO bills, a clandestine banking network that quietly powered Nazi rearmament while keeping it hidden from foreign eyes. But by 1939, the reckoning had come. The debts were maturing, the numbers no longer added up, and Germany lacked the funds to pay. Expansion, violent, immediate, territorial, became the only escape from economic ruin. The Nazi economic engine wasn't fueled solely by ideology. It ran on a financial illusion that required perpetual conquest to survive. This is the story of how Hitler financed World War II, and why economic collapse set Germany on an unavoidable collision course with war. But before we descend fully into the machinery of this system, imagine yourself in a chilling scenario. It is January 1939. You are Germany's chief economist. You see the collapse approaching like a storm on the horizon. You know Hitler's only exit is war. What would you do? Speak out and risk execution? Or remain silent and watch catastrophe unfold? Real individuals wrestled with exactly this dilemma. By the end of this narrative, you'll understand why every path before them was a dead end. Let's rewind, back to the disasters that made everything possible. To grasp the intensity of Germany's desperation, you must witness both cataclysms. First, the hyperinflation of 1923, November 1923, the very peak of Weimar Germany's monetary breakdown. $1 equals 4 trillion marks. Workers demand to be paid twice a day, once at lunch, once at quitting time, because their morning wages are worthless by sunset. Restaurants change prices while patrons are still chewing. Waiters climb onto tables every half hour to shout out the newest menu costs. Life insurance policies, nurtured for decades, mature into payouts that cannot buy even a single postage stamp. This isn't mere crisis, it's economic Armageddon. The German middle class, its savings, pensions, investments, wiped away in an instant. Germany slowly claws back stability. The currency steadies. Daily life begins to look normal again. And then comes 1929. The Great Depression hits. American banks demand repayment of their loans. German businesses collapse like dominoes. Unemployment explodes. By 1932, 6 million people are without work, 30% of the labor force. Families drag their furniture into the streets to sell for enough coins to buy dinner. Engineers and teachers plead for jobs unloading cargo or digging ditches. the Weimar government can barely function. Political violence becomes routine. Communist and Nazi paramilitaries clash in the streets, turning cities into battlegrounds. Twice in 14 years, Germany has been economically shattered. And in this chaos, Hitler ascends. January 1933, Hitler vows to resurrect German greatness, rebuild the military, defy Versailles. But the treasury is empty. The Versailles Treaty restricts the army to 100,000 men. No tanks, no aircraft, no submarines, no heavy artillery. And Germany lacks the funds to break those limits even if it dared. Hitler needs a miracle. Massive rearmament, carried out in secret, without sparking inflation, without allowing foreign powers to glimpse what is happening. All within an economy ravaged twice over. Enter Hjalmar Schacht, the man who will make the impossible possible. Hjalmar Horace Greeley Schacht, born in 1877. Banker, economist, and something close to a financial sorcerer. He has already saved Germany once. In 1923, as currency commissioner, he halted hyperinflation by creating a new land-backed currency. It worked. The Rentenmark stabilized. Schacht became a national hero. On March 17, 1933, Hitler appoints him president of the Reichsbank. In August 1934, he becomes Minister of Economics. His mission? Finance colossal rearmament without detection, without inflation, without leaving a trace of the true scale. Schacht, brilliant and audacious, unveils his plan. Germany needs tanks, planes, ships, artillery. That requires paying steelworks, chemical giants, and arms manufacturers. But if the Reichsbank simply prints the money, two disasters follow. First, inflation surges. And Germans, still haunted by 1923, will not endure that again. Second, the transactions appear in official records for the world to see. Foreign governments will spot the rearmament and act before Germany is prepared. Hitler needs money that is invisible, untraceable, and inflation-proof. Schacht invents it. In 1934, he creates a company, Metallurgische Forschungsgesellschaft, MBH, the Metallurgical Research Company, known as MEFO. On paper, it is a research consortium. Siemens, Krupp, Rheinmetall, and Gute Hoffnungshütte hold shares. Its official capital? A mere 1 million Reichsmarks. In reality, MEFO does nothing. It is a facade, a shell company with a letterhead and a bank account. Yet, MEFO is about to finance the largest rearmament program in human history. Here is how the operation works. Imagine you are a German arms producer in 1935. The government orders 1,000 tanks. Instead of paying you in Reichsmarks, they hand you MEFO bills, promissory notes issued by the fictitious MEFO firm. These notes promise full payment in 5 years. But you cannot wait 5 years. You have workers to pay and steel to purchase. So you bring the MEFO bills to a private bank. The bankers know the truth. The Reichsbank stands behind MEFO. They know the notes will be honored, so they hand you cash, real Reichsmarks, perhaps with a modest discount. You leave satisfied. Now the private bank holds the MEFO bills. It presents them to the Reichsbank, which converts them into cash using its power to issue money. And here lies the masterstroke. None of these transactions appear on the Reichsbank's official balance sheets. MEFO bills are private obligations, not state debt, not central bank debt. Officially, they belong to a tiny research firm. To foreign observers, Germany looks financially ordinary. No one sees the colossal rearmament taking place. Between 1934 and 1938, Germany issues 12 billion Reichsmarks in MEFO bills. For scale, Germany's total national debt in 1932 was about 10 billion. Germany secretly adds more than its entire pre-existing debt, and the world remains largely unaware until it is far too late. By 1936, Germany has shattered every military restriction imposed by Versailles. Tanks roll out of factories. Aircraft take to the skies. Submarines slip into the seas. The Allies do not intervene because they still underestimate how extensive the rearmament truly is. But there is a fatal flaw. MEFO bills mature in 5 years. The first ones, issued in 1934, come due in 1939. Germany does not have 12 billion Reichsmarks to pay them back. The deadline looms, and now the Ponzi scheme analogy becomes painfully accurate. A Ponzi scheme functions by paying earlier participants with money from newcomers. It survives only as long as fresh funds pour in. Once they dry up, the whole structure collapses. Nazi Germany's economy is built on the same principle. MEFO bills are promises. Promises that can only be kept if new resources are seized. Imagine standing in the heart of Germany in the late 1930s, watching a nation roaring forward with breathtaking speed, and yet knowing that beneath the polished surface, something is deeply, catastrophically wrong. Germany believed it could ride the wave of future economic growth to settle its mounting debts. But by 1938, the truth became impossible to ignore. The economy simply wasn't generating the revenue needed to pay the bills. The entire financial structure was straining, trembling, demanding something it no longer had: money. And so a terrifying question emerged. Where do you find 12 billion Reichsmarks when your own economy can no longer produce them? Germany's answer was brutally simple. You take them from someone else. March 1938, Germany swallows Austria in the Anschluss. Picture it, a nation absorbed in a single stroke. Austria's gold reserves, its foreign currency, its industrial base, all swept into German hands overnight. September 1938, the Munich Agreement. Germany is handed the Sudetenland. March 1939, the rest of Czechoslovakia is occupied. And what does Czechoslovakia possess? Gold reserves. The Škoda Works, one of the most advanced arms factories in all of Europe. Germany claims every bit of it. Then comes September 1939. Poland falls. Agricultural output, natural resources, and millions of people forced into labor, all redirected toward the German war machine. Germany seizes everything. The Nazi economic model wasn't merely immoral, it was engineered, down to its bones, to survive only through conquest. As one historian bleakly summarized, Germany quite literally had to invade other countries to stay afloat. Hjalmar Schacht saw the disaster coming long before the public did. By 1937, he was warning Hitler. The economy was overheating. Spending had spun out of control. Collapse loomed. His words, however, crashed against an iron wall of indifference. On January 7, 1939, mere weeks before the first MEFO bills would come due, Schacht submitted a desperate memorandum on behalf of the Reichsbank directors. The tone was unmistakable. Germany had to slash rearmament spending, cut expenditures, balance the budget, or inflation would strike again. Hitler's reply arrived on January 20, 1939. He fired Schacht. The irony is chilling. Schacht had built the financial machine the Nazis depended on, but he had also planted within it a ticking time bomb. And Hitler's only solution was to keep feeding that bomb so it would never explode. Feed it with Austria. Feed it with Czechoslovakia. Feed it with Poland. Feed it eventually with France, the Soviet Union, everywhere the German army could reach. War, therefore, wasn't only the product of Hitler's ideology, it was economic necessity. By 1939, Germany faced two paths: collapse or expansion. Hitler chose expansion, but the MEFO bills were only one stream of revenue. The Nazi economy drew from far darker sources. Every time Germany conquered new territory, it didn't simply claim military control. It systematically stripped the country bare. Gold reserves, foreign currency, artwork, machinery, raw materials, all vanished into the German treasury. Look at France. During occupation, it was forced to pay Germany 400 million francs per day. Imagine that, a nation paying for the cost of its own occupation. In the Soviet Union, the plan was even more ruthless. Extract grain, oil, minerals, whatever could sustain German industry and the Wehrmacht. Everything about this system was parasitic. And then there was slave labor. Concentration camp inmates, prisoners of war, civilians dragged from occupied lands, all thrust into factories to build weapons, produce parts, mine coal. Companies like IG Farben, Siemens, and Krupp relied on slave labor so heavily that death became simply a logistical inconvenience. When a worker died, another was forced into their place. This wasn't just exploitation, it was the economic infrastructure of genocide. Another scam reveals just how deep the theft ran. The Volkswagen, the so-called people's car. Germans were told they could own one if they saved faithfully through the Deutsche Arbeitsfront. Month after month, they paid, believing a bright future awaited them. In total, 275 million Reichsmarks were collected. And how many civilian Volkswagens were delivered during the entire Third Reich? Not one. The factory had been converted to producing the Kubelwagen, a military vehicle. Ordinary Germans lost everything. They would not receive compensation until the 1960s. The Nazi state did not only steal from conquered peoples, it stole from its own citizens. And the theft didn't stop there. In the 1920s and early 1930s, Germany borrowed heavily from Britain, France, and the United States, supposedly to repay Versailles reparations. Germany accepted the loans. And then, in 1933, Hitler simply stopped paying reparations. But he kept every borrowed dollar, pound, and franc. So when Germany rearmed and later invaded France in 1940, it did so partly with money borrowed from France itself. And after the invasion, the new Vichy government even forgave part of the debt. Germany had received free money from its future enemies. Add to this the systematic confiscation of Jewish property. Businesses, accounts, homes, art, everything seized, sold, liquidated, absorbed into the regime's finances. This wasn't only persecution, it was state-run economic theft. By 1939, the Nazi economy stood on 4 unstable legs: MEFO bills, plunder, slave labor, and theft. And all of it was collapsing under its own weight. The bills were coming due. Inflation loomed. Shortages spread. Schacht's warnings now rang with prophetic clarity. But pulling back would have meant economic disaster, unemployment, instability, political failure, the implosion of the regime itself. So Hitler pushed forward. This is the part many people never fully grasp. The war wasn't simply ideological. It was embedded in the very structure of Nazi economics. Without expansion, Germany's economy would implode. Historian Adam Tooze, in The Wages of Destruction, argues precisely this. From the first day, the Nazi economy was living on borrowed time. Expansion wasn't optional, it was built into the system. Thus, when Germany invaded the Soviet Union in 1941, the invasion wasn't only about Lebensraum or racial ideology. It was also about oil from the Caucasus, grain from Ukraine, the lifeblood needed to keep Germany alive. The war and the economy were inseparable. One was the engine, the other the fuel. When Germany began losing territory in 1943 and 1944, the entire model unraveled. The stream of plunder dried up. Resources vanished. Only expenses remained. The Nazi economy was exposed for what it had always been, a pyramid scheme. And like every pyramid scheme, it collapsed the moment new investors, new conquests could no longer be found. So let's put the entire picture together. How did Hitler pay for World War II? In truth, he didn't. The Nazi economy was built upon 4 pillars: First, creative accounting. MEFO bills concealed 12 billion Reichsmarks of debt and allowed Germany to rearm in secret. Schacht's brilliance made invisible money, but invisible money is still debt, and debt eventually demands repayment. Second, plunder. Austria's gold, Czechoslovakia's weapons factories, Poland's labor, France's occupation payments, Soviet grain. The Nazi economy fed like a parasite that needed constant new hosts. Third, slavery. Millions forced to work until they died, producing the weapons that would conquer more people to force more labor in an endless cycle intertwined with genocide. Fourth, theft. Jewish property, defaulted Versailles loans, unpaid reparations, even the Volkswagen savings stolen from German citizens. Everywhere, the regime took without giving. Ask yourself, was Nazi Germany essentially running a Ponzi scheme? In many ways, yes. Early stages were funded by the spoils of later conquests. Poland financed France. France financed the invasion of the Soviet Union. The wheel kept turning until it didn't. Once Germany stopped expanding, the entire edifice crumbled. By 1939, war was not just desirable, it was unavoidable. The Nazi economy was incompatible with peace, and so Hitler paid for World War II with promises he never intended to keep, with money he never possessed, with labor he enslaved, and with resources he stole. The war machine marched not on industrial strength, but on a scam requiring endless conquest to survive. And when the conquest ended, the regime died with its economy. So now I'll turn the question to you. Knowing that the Nazi economy depended on perpetual expansion, do you believe the war was truly inevitable? Or could Germany somehow have reversed course and built a sustainable economic system? Share your thoughts below. And if this changed the way you understand the economics behind Nazi Germany, make sure to like and subscribe for more history that connects economics, politics, and war. Thanks for watching.